What if I told you that the 80s and 90s didn't just shape pop culture? They completely rewired the way we dress, listen to music, play games, and even think. Forget everything you thought you knew about these decades, because today, we're digging deeper than just the surface-level nostalgia. We're talking about the seismic shifts that still echo in our lives today, the true game changers that molded generations. From neon fashion explosions to gaming revolutions to music that still dominates playlists, these weren't just decades. They were movements. Today we're counting down the top 5 trends from the 80s and 90s that changed everything. But trust me, number 1 might just be the quietest revolution that nobody saw coming. Before we dive headfirst into this time machine, I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you're enjoying this ride down memory lane, a quick subscribe would mean the world and help me keep bringing you more content like this. Thank you so much. Okay, let's continue this journey. The 80s didn't whisper, the 80s roared. It was a decade that decided subtlety was for suckers, and instead, it opted for an all-out, full-volume visual assault. Think about it. Neon colors so bright they could practically blind you, leg warmers that transformed simple outfits into dance-ready ensembles, and shoulder pads so massive they could block a doorway. Literally, you might struggle to get through a narrow one. Fashion wasn't just clothing, it was a declaration. It was an art form, a loud, proud canvas upon which a generation painted its identity. This wasn't just random. This explosion of style was heavily influenced by titans like Madonna, who shattered norms with her lace and crucifixes, transforming underwear into outerwear and sparking countless debates. Then there was Michael Jackson, whose single sequined glove, red leather jackets, and military-inspired attire became instant global sensations, defining an entire era of stage presence. And let's not forget MTV. Before the internet, before social media influencers, MTV was the ultimate arbiter of cool. It beamed these fashion statements directly into living rooms, turning music videos into runway shows and making pop stars the ultimate style gurus. Suddenly, fashion wasn't just about what you wore. It was about the attitude you projected, the music you loved, and the cultural tribe you belonged to. If you saw someone rocking a ripped Frankie Says Relax t-shirt or a perfectly acid-washed denim jacket, you knew exactly where they stood in the cultural landscape. But as the 80s faded into the rearview mirror, the pendulum swung, and the 90s brought its own seismic shift. Grunge. Suddenly, the meticulously styled, hyper-colorful aesthetic of the 80s felt dated. Enter the anti-fashion movement. Ripped jeans, not as a statement of rebellion, but as a badge of authenticity. Flannel shirts, often oversized and worn with a casual indifference, became the uniform of a generation that rejected corporate polish. Combat boots, heavy and practical, stomped all over the notion of delicate footwear. Thanks to bands like Nirvana, led by the enigmatic Kurt Cobain, looking effortlessly rebellious became the new cool. It wasn't about looking perfect. It was about looking like you didn't care, even if you secretly did. This wasn't just a trend, it was a reaction, a cultural detox from the excess of the previous decade. Fashion in these decades wasn't just clothing. It was identity. It was a mirror reflecting the anxieties, hopes, and rebellious spirits of 2 distinct generations, proving that what we choose to put on our bodies speaks volumes about who we are and what we believe in. Before online multiplayer, before battle royales, before hyper-realistic graphics that make you question if you're actually into the game, there was 8-bit magic. Think about that for a second. There was a time when home entertainment mostly consisted of 3 channels on a bulky TV. Then, seemingly overnight, everything changed. The rise of iconic consoles like the Nintendo Entertainment System, NES, and later the Sega Genesis didn't just introduce new toys. They kickstarted a revolution that completely rewired how we spent our leisure time and connected with digital worlds. Kids didn't just watch TV anymore, they it. Suddenly, your living room wasn't just a passive viewing space, it was an interactive adventure zone. You weren't just observing a story, you were living it, guiding pixelated heroes through fantastical realms. The thrill of blowing into a stubborn game cartridge, hoping it would finally load, the joy of unlocking a secret level, or the frustration of a seemingly impossible boss fight. These were shared experiences that forged bonds and built communities. This wasn't just about entertainment. It was about a new form of literacy, teaching hand-eye coordination, problem-solving, and perseverance, all while having a blast. And let's not forget the arcades. Before every kid had a console, arcades were pulsating, neon-lit social hubs, cathedrals of coin-operated dreams. The loud cacophony of beeps, boops, and explosions, the intense concentration on a friend's face as they tried to beat your high score, the shared awe at a new, groundbreaking game, these were crucial rites of passage. These consoles and arcades gave birth to gaming legends that are still household names today. The plucky plumber Mario, the speedy blue hedgehog Sonic, and the groundbreaking pistol-wielding archaeologist Lara Croft. These weren't just characters, they were cultural icons, pioneers in a brand new digital frontier. The impact? Staggering. This era laid the foundational bricks for what is today a multi-billion-dollar industry. Think about it. The entire landscape of modern entertainment, from esports to streaming, from virtual reality to mobile gaming, all traces its lineage directly back to those flickering 8-bit screens and the passionate, often frustrated kids hunched over them. This wasn't just about playing games, it was about forging a new industry, a new art form, and a new way for humans to interact with technology and each other. It truly changed home entertainment forever. Before you could binge-watch an entire season of your favorite show in one weekend. Before algorithms recommended your next obsession. Before streaming services gave you instant access to practically every piece of visual content ever created. There was must-watch TV. And with it, a culture utterly alien to anyone who grew up with Netflix. You had one chance. Miss it? You waited a week. That was it. No DVRs, no on-demand, no pausing for a snack break. You either planned your entire evening around that 8 p.m. slot, or you missed out. And believe me, FOMO was a real, tangible thing back then. This scarcity, ironically, made television an even more potent cultural force. Shows like Friends weren't just entertainment, they were weekly cultural events. We laughed with Rachel and Ross's "We Were on a Break" saga, we tried to decipher Phoebe's "Smelly Cat" lyrics, and we debated Chandler's job. Was it even a real job? The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air gave us iconic dance moves, unforgettable catchphrases like "smell you later," and powerful messages about family and identity, all wrapped in a vibrant, hilarious package. Beverly Hills 90210, no. Set the gold standard for teen dramas tackling tough subjects and introducing a generation to the glitz and drama of West Coast high school life. These shows weren't just watched passively, they were discussed. They were dissected. They were the glue that held social circles together. Families gathered around one TV, often the only TV in the house, sharing popcorn and laughter, forging memories that lasted far beyond the closing credits. Catchphrases spread like wildfire, becoming part of the everyday lexicon. Remember, "You got it, dude," or "How you doing?" These weren't just lines, they were cultural touchstones. This era of television shaped humor, providing us with a common comedic language. It influenced fashion, with character styles becoming aspirational trends. It even shaped our slang, introducing new words and phrases into common parlance. More subtly, these shows mirrored and often influenced dating culture, friend dynamics, and societal norms. They offered a window into different worlds, different lives, and often different problems, fostering a collective understanding of the human experience. These weren't just shows, they were shared experiences, indelible parts of our collective memory, proving that sometimes the scarcity of choice can lead to a deeper, more meaningful cultural impact. If there's one thing that truly encapsulates the spirit and energy of the 80s and 90s, it's the music. This wasn't just background noise, this was the soundtrack to our lives, the rhythm of our rebellion and the beat of our identity. The 80s burst onto the scene with a kaleidoscope of sounds. Synth pop, with its pulsating electronic beats and catchy melodies, made us want to dance like nobody was watching. Glam rock, all big hair and even bigger guitars, was pure spectacle and attitude. And early hip-hop began its meteoric rise, laying the groundwork for a genre that would soon dominate the world. Artists weren't just musicians, they were gods. Michael Jackson, the king of pop, redefined music videos as an art form and transcended racial barriers with his unparalleled talent and electrifying performances. Madonna, the queen of reinvention, constantly challenged social norms, pushing boundaries with her fashion, lyrics, and unapologetic sexuality. Prince, the enigmatic genius, blended funk, rock, and pop into a sound uniquely his own, leaving an indelible mark on music history. These icons didn't just top the charts, they were the charts. Their influence global, their reach undeniable. Their songs weren't just played, they were absorbed, memorized, and celebrated. Then came the 90s, and the musical landscape shifted again, becoming even more diverse and fragmented, yet still profoundly impactful. Hip-hop exploded, moving from the underground to the absolute mainstream, with legends like Tupac Shakur and the notorious B.I.G. spinning complex narratives of street life, ambition, and struggle, often sparking intense regional rivalries that fueled both creativity and tragedy. Their lyrical prowess and storytelling changed music forever. But while hip-hop was exploding, grunge disrupted the entire mainstream, ripping through the polished pop of the 80s with raw emotion, distorted guitars, and angst-ridden lyrics. Bands like Nirvana spoke to a generation feeling disillusioned, proving that imperfection and vulnerability could be powerful. And just when you thought music couldn't get any more varied, the pop machine fired back with boy bands and girl groups like the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and the Spice Girls, who ruled the charts with infectious hooks, synchronized dance moves, and carefully curated images. Their songs were the anthems of adolescence, played on repeat at school dances and sung loudly during road trips. From the poetic rhymes of Tupac and Biggie to the sugary pop of Britney Spears, from the raw power of grunge to the undeniable charisma of the Backstreet Boys, music wasn't just background noise. It defined identity. It was a language spoken universally, a tribal drumbeat that connected millions. And let's be honest, even today, years later, you still know every single lyric to your favorite jams from back then, don't you? That's the power of music that truly defines generations. Before Wi-Fi, before smartphones, before the idea of having the entire world's information in your pocket seemed remotely possible, there was dial-up. Remember that sound? That distinctive, grating symphony of static, clicks, and whirs, a digital mating call announcing your impending connection to the vast unknown. For many, it was a sound of immense anticipation, often followed by the exasperated cries of parents needing to use the phone line. The 90s, while remembered for grunge and sitcoms, quietly introduced the biggest revolution of all time. Not a fashion trend, not a music genre, but something far more fundamental, the World Wide Web. It started slowly, almost imperceptibly for most of us. Email was a novelty, a clunky alternative to snail mail. Chat rooms, text-based and often clicky, were the first digital social spaces, allowing people from disparate corners of the globe to connect in real time under anonymous aliases. Early social platforms were rudimentary, clunky, and often required a decent amount of technical know-how. But it was happening. The seeds of a global network were being planted, connecting computers and, by extension, connecting people in ways that had never been possible before. This wasn't just a new piece of technology, it was a fundamental shift in how humanity would interact, learn, and exist. Imagine explaining to someone in 1992 that in a few decades, you'd carry a tiny device that could access almost all human knowledge, stream any movie, and instantly connect you with anyone on the planet. They'd think you were crazy. Every app you use today, every video you stream, every piece of information you search for, it all traces back to the late 90s, to those slow, screeching dial-up connections and the pioneering spirit of a few tech enthusiasts. This wasn't just a trend. It was the beginning of the modern world. It shattered geographical barriers, democratized information, and fundamentally reshaped our economies, our politics, and our social fabric. The internet didn't just change things, it built a new reality, brick by digital brick, forever altering the course of human history. The 80s and 90s weren't just nostalgic, they were transformational. They weren't just decades we look back on fondly, they were the crucibles where the modern world was forged, leaving an undeniable imprint on everything we see, hear, and interact with today. So, after reliving those iconic moments, which trend do you think had the biggest impact? Let me know in the comments below. And if this video brought back some incredible memories, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more journeys into the past and future.